Mike Keith named the voice of the Vols, and congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Vol Network for landing a fantastic, unbelievably good hire. As we get rolling here, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. It is banksandjones.com, and they bring you today's tough question.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Hey, here's what I can tell you based off people I've talked to. Pat Ryan was the color commentator last year. Now, Pat and Mike have worked together, and they were the first play-by-play team, I think, for the Titans before Pat said something about a foreign kicker, and that didn't go over well. I don't think it's going to be Pat, based off who I've talked to, that he's not very fond of it. That now some of that may be who he was working with. I'm just going to be honest with you. There were times I heard the Vol Network broadcast, and I wondered if the guys got along. So I don't know that it's not going to be Pat, but I don't know that I don't think that's the direction they will go. So I will ask you, who should be Tennessee's color commentator? They've had some great ones: Bill Anderson, Tim Priest. Tim was my favorite. Bill was probably a little bit before my time. I mean, I heard a lot of Bill in the 90s, but I really liked Tim Priest. I liked his excitement, and I liked a lot about what he did. But let's throw out some names, and I'm going to throw out the first one, and I'm going to go young, because I think you would want somebody like we have Ollie Lane on, we have Jacob Warren on, as opposed to guys who played in previous regimes, because they give you a little insight into Josh Heupel in this program. I don't expect Mike Stoll, for instance, who I love and breaks down the balls with the best of them. I don't expect him to know what's going on with Josh Heupel. I don't know if this is a full-time position. I see the Vol Network expanding, and if they want to generate revenue with somebody and make a splash hire, I think they'll be able to do that. Trust me, you can generate revenue on the internet. Caleb, any names come to mind? Because I'm going to throw one out there right now. Jacob Warren. That is who I would hire for Tennessee's color commentator. Well-spoken. Might be the most well-spoken athlete I've ever covered at Tennessee. At least he's right up at the top. Knows Heupel. Wants a job. He's going to be in the, whatever it's called, the UFL or whatever that is. I talked to him yesterday. Football's probably not going to be his final destination. I'm saying Jacob Warren. Am I crazy?
No, I don't mind Jacob Warren at all. I would say I think he would be great, honestly.
Did I surprise you with that one?
No, you did kind of surprise me, but I mean, Jacob Warren would be really good doing it. I was thinking of like, could you do this? They've never done this before. Like Monday Night Football. What if they had two color commentators? Like one that gave you the measure, like, this is what's happened, X's and O's, this is what they need to do. And then one that threw in the entertainment. You know what I mean?
It sounds like you're trying to do that thing that they did on Monday Night Football with Dennis Miller. I don't want to.
I still say they should do it. I mean, I don't care that he doesn't talk football. Get Ron Slay. He didn't play football, but get him to do the color comment.
Come on, Caleb. That's
John Henderson or Al Wilson. Just somebody that's fiery that would just drop hilarious knowledge and
Al wouldn't be good. John Henderson wouldn't be good. He wouldn't be comfortable. I mean, come on, you got to come with something stronger than that.
I'm just saying, okay, like back in the day, because you told me the stories, how epic would Doug Atkins have been as a color commentator?
Oh, well, you couldn't have aired what he said. I mean, he liked to use the N word and the GD word and the F word. And I mean, like I told you, I interviewed him for 40 minutes and it took me 3 hours to edit it. So you couldn't do that. If you're looking for somebody outlandish and fun, you're running a risk of losing some credibility. Give me some real names out there. I mean, Doug Atkins is dead.
We've had him on a few times too. Another guy. What about Billy Ratliff?
I like Billy a lot. I think that you don't have a tie to high pull, and if you're comparing him to Jacob, my suggestion is I think that Jacob is incredibly well spoken. Not to say Billy isn't. I mean, to me, that would not be even
I'm not.
comparison.
And I want to say this up front. I'm not discounting Jacob. I'm just trying to find some other names.
Well, I want you to have more names. I thought you would have more names.
And also, message board. Totally forgot this. Yeah, Ramon Foster. Ramon Foster would be really good too.
Ooh,
as a color commentator for this.
Now that's really good. And more times than not, I will take guys in the trenches or a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, skill position players really don't do a lot for me. I'm trying to think really off the top of my head. Is there a defensive player that's a really standout color commentator anywhere? Is there a receiver that's a color commentator?
Well,
anywhere?
I mean, like Bill Anderson did play both sides of the ball. He was more of a tight end in the NFL, I know, but like he was an end at Tennessee. So technically he was a defensive player.
Well, the game's, I mean, that's the game's changed so much. You're just looking for somebody that can talk.
I mean, I'm just saying the reason
is willing to do it for like $150 because
the reason
back then.
The reason the level of outlandish kind of helps. Let's be honest. Let's talk basketball for a minute. Burt Bertelkamp's outlandishness has been one of the best parts of the Bob and Burt broadcast for Tennessee. Can we agree on that? Over the past 25 years.
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, I'll roll with that.
And one of the most underrated missed parts of the recent years, I know he doesn't do it anymore, but Tim Priest got a little outlandish at times in a good way because Tim Priest couldn't hide his disdain for certain coaches when he was.
Listen, I will tell you, I think that Tim Priest would be fantastic. And Tim, who I've talked to, I mean, he got a little bit. It's hard if you're a former player. I mean, you can do if you're Mike Keith. I mean, he's a pro. So is Bob Kessling, and so is John Ward. So you don't want to be a homer, and weren't not going to be homers. However, it's hard for a former player to see their team struggle and not have some sort of visceral reaction that, hey, this stinks. Tim Priest, to me, and Burt Bertelkamp are the two that I think were the most perfect in that you definitely knew that they were Tennessee fans, but at the same time, I thought they were incredibly objective. So let's go to the message board and get some comments. Who would you like to see as Tennessee's next color commentator? I got another name for you, and he did sideline for the Vol Network, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the guy, Mike Stoll. Give me some names here, Caleb. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. Okay, unless you give me a better one, I've got my 4. So this is your one opportunity. We're going to start this as a poll question. Some fantastic votes on there. David says Josh Ward. I think even Josh Ward would tell you that he's not qualified to be a color commentator. Neither am I, given the fact that we didn't play football. So who you got? Because I got 4 good ones, and you're not exactly bringing your A game this morning. I guess it's all the snow.
What are you talking about? I've named some great ones.
You haven't given me a good one.
You said Ramon Foster was a good one.
Okay, I'll give you that. Give me another one. I got some good ones on the message board. I think somebody said Dave Matthews. I think you mean Doug Matthews. Jason Swain, Tennessee receiver, who is doing sideline and could slide into that role. I think do you think Charles Davis would do it, by the way, or is Charles Davis making more money doing what he does now? Ooh. All right. Charles Davis is on there, who, by the way, answers the phone every time when you call him with, "Hello, this is Charles." He always sounds so happy. He does. All right, I'm going to put Charles Davis on there. So you push somebody on there, but we're pushing Ramon Foster out because I've got better names. Jonathan Crompton, Mike Stoll. Now, Mike Stoll's staying on there. You could talk me out of Jonathan Crompton. Let me throw Eric Ainge at you. By the way, you guys are doing a fantastic job of providing some names on the message.
We're
doing way better than you.
Are you doing? I would take Ramon over Jonathan Crompton just because Ramon's so tied into the program right now already. It's a smooth transition, and he's really talented.
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing I think you would be concerned about since things didn't go well for Jonathan at Tennessee. Would he have a subconscious axe to grind, right?
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
Would it be like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but if Tennessee beats Alabama by 3, would somebody disgruntled, not necessarily Jonathan, would somebody disgruntled say, oh, well, they only won by 3. They should have won by 20. Which you should never say when you beat Alabama. But that would be, if I'm the Vol Network, that's my concern. I know Jonathan, the Crompton family, and love them. So I don't think that would be a problem. But if I'm stepping into this as the Vol Network and hiring someone, that would be my concern. Because all but the last, 6 weeks of his Tennessee career, things did not go well for Jonathan, which included death threats, his family harassed, a lot of lies from the coaches that I don't really want to get into right now. But he was completely mistreated and mishandled, and there was a coaching change. And it just, I don't know that he would want to do it. And by the way, he is a high school coach at Tuscola, where he went to high school. He's the head coach there. So I don't know that he would want to do it. But Mike Stoll, Charles Davis. Who else we got?
Mike Stoll, Charles
Davis on there?
Jason Swain. You're not putting Jacob Warren on there?
Jacob is on there. I'm going to leave Jacob. I'm going to leave Jason off. And I don't mean this in a mean way. I think you want somebody, if they're going to talk that much, a little bit smoother.
Well, one thing I will say on behalf, though, is that, and this is the truth, and this is where the Jonathan Crompton thing may not work out, too. Jonathan Crompton would be good at what we do because we objectively cover Tennessee. Yes. Guys, remember, what the Vol Network people are hired to do is not what we do. They are hired to cheerlead for Tennessee. They are hired to spin everything positive for Tennessee, no matter what. Okay, so no matter. That's why, by the way, that's why Tim Priest was so awesome, because Tim Priest couldn't hide the fact that he would call out when Butch Jones made a stupid decision in the game half the time.
I still remember bumping into Tim Priest after one of the first 3 or 4 Butch Jones games, and they had just squeaked by and won, but it was kind of like that first glimpse of, wow, this might not go the right way. And I went up to Tim in the interview room. I said, what happened out there? He goes, sure looks like coaching to me. Boom. And he was done. It was one comment. I was like, okay. Anybody else? So I got Jacob Warren, Mike Stoll, Charles Davis. Who else? Who's the 4th?
Mike Stoll, Charles Davis. I'm sticking with Ramon Foster. I don't get your hate for Ramon Foster.
I will give you the final say. Eric Ainge or Ramon Foster? Now factor this in too. Okay. Ramon Foster has a presence in media in Nashville where there's an awful lot of donors, Caleb. So to have that presence probably helps you sell a little bit more advertising.
And Ramon Foster hasn't, just pissed off other SEC fan bases for no reason to this point. So
Eric Ainge with Georgia?
Yeah, Eric Ainge with Georgia. Now, to be fair, it's not like other radio broadcasters in the past haven't been unprofessional. Larry Munson out there, we just stepped on their faces with a hobnail boot. I'm like, who actually thinks that's a good call to say something
Georgia
like
fans. Georgia fans. You gotta know your audience. I trust me. They had a flamethrower of a stick at WSB, and I used to be able to hear Larry Munson no matter where I was driving, home from Starkville and stuff. And so I heard him a lot. That's what they liked. It's obviously dated. It's no good anymore. It's not gonna.
Because John Ward was never that way.
I thought John Ward was perfect. I thought John Ward. You knew that John wanted Tennessee to win. Yeah, but it was not over the top.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I'm leaning Ramon just for that, just because Eric Ainge, I think, is I think you want somebody that's going to cheerlead, that's going to be do all the positives, but it's not going to like fanboy at the same time. And I kind of worry that Eric would fanboy a little bit more than Ramon Foster. Is that fair to say? Or is I think Ramon Foster would be more measured with everything he covers? Now,
well,
I know
you want people to be measured. Like, we don't want Jacob Warren and guests we have on this show to be measured. We want them to be completely objective.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Ramon Foster would be measured. And as Adam points out, he's got NFL credentials. I mean, dude played 10 years in the NFL.
What does that matter?
I don't know. He knows people. You just talked about knowing people and being able to sell. A lot of NFL people live in Nashville.
Well, they're not going to ask him to pitch. I mean, it would just be a presence. I think it may be Ramon Foster now that we've hashed this out on the air.
It's clearly Ramon over Eric Gaines now that we've hashed this out. I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, I've already replaced. I've already replaced Eric Gaines with Ramon Foster. I'm just talking about among the four. So who are the four that we have up now, and who would you vote for among those four?
All right, so you have Mike Stoll, Ramon Foster, Charles Davis, and Jacob Warren.
So?
I think because of the experience and the smooth transition, I probably vote Charles Davis of those four. I think Charles Davis would be the smoothest transition into doing this. So I would vote Charles Davis.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you I think it's Mike Stoll, and I didn't think that till we hashed it out. I would hire Jacob Warren. No offense to Mike. I would just hire Jacob because he has the tie to Josh Heupel. But Mike Stoll, you may not know this, his broadcast career started with Mike Keith in high school. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not. But
so they have chemistry.
Yeah, they have chemistry.
And this is the new Mike and Mike.
Oh, my gosh.
Who cares about old Mike and Mike in the morning? The Tennessee fans would be like, we got Mike Stoll and Mike Keith.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go 60-40 Warren over Stoll. Is that a fair way to put it?
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
And I hope Mike Stoll's not listening, or he'll be like, "Man, the one thing he was like, you're in my wedding, and you're not voting for me." But I got to be objective. That's what I do. Did you know I was in Mike's wedding?
I did not know that. Now the one thing I have to say with Ramon Foster, and I'll say this much, as good as he is, and one thing that may make me draw back, and this is why I think Charles Davis. Ramon Foster has never hidden his fact. Has never hidden the fact.
Is that what you said?
No, his fact.
You just took his belly out.
That's not what I meant to say. He's never hidden the fact that he thinks Philip Fulmer was wronged. And like he's been very vocal about that.
Oh,
and I get it.
I didn't know that. Now that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he was a player when it happened, so he was loyal to his coach. I get it. You know what I mean? It's like you're loyal to your coach, but the press conference when Fulmer got fired, he spoke to the media and he just lashed out at everybody. He's like, that was not very stand-up at Tennessee. They shouldn't have done it. He was very much like this. Fulmer was wronged. He was very, very, very clear about how he felt about that at the time.
Well, and I've told you why he was fired in the middle of the season, which is not the way to treat a guy who won a national championship and coached there for 25 years. And that was because Lane Kiffin said, I got to get this job or I'm taking the Washington gig. So with more reasons not to like Lane Kiffin, he caused one of Tennessee's all-time legends to get bleeped upon